I would say what needs to be in your content is you need to grab attention, right? It's a busy world. We're scrolling past a million different things. So your photos and your videos need, the first 5 seconds need to be attention grabbing. There's different mechanisms for attention grabbing, whether it's shock or, humor or, something fresh that they haven't seen before, something unique. There's these different ways, but we need to, in the first 5 seconds of our content, if it's the first image on a carousel or just an image by itself, it needs to grab attention.
You're listening to Ecomonics, a Debutify podcast, your resource for one-of-a-kind insights into the world of e-commerce and business in the modern age. This is Joseph. I'll be presenting a wealth of industry knowledge from interviews with successful business people and our own state-of-the-art research. Your time is valuable, so let's go. After having a brief but life-altering stint in background acting, it's a treat to talk to someone in the field who still has connections to the film industry, and as well, takes that premium experience to our world of e-commerce. Judson Morgan runs Butter, a premium video advertising service that comprises everything needed to make top-of-the-line content that converts and tells a unique story. Additionally, frankly, it's just a joy to share conversations with people who are so firmly enmeshed in the creative side of our business. Have a good listen. Judson Morgan, it is good to have you here on Ecomonics. Thank you for joining us. How you doing today, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you too. It's an opportunity to talk to somebody who has a lot of experience in the film industry. I have a little bit of it. I was a background actor for a couple of years, so we'll touch on that. It's something that I'm looking forward to comparing notes on. And also, before I ask you our starter question, the question of all questions, I also want to give a quick thank you to Steve Pope. This is the third person that he's referred to the show. He has been a terrific asset to it. So, Steve, if you're listening to this, thank you again. Keep it coming. Don't stop there. By all means, bring them on and bring them in bulk if you can. All right. So Judson, first question, if you're ready for this, is who you are and what do you do?
That one, I think I can handle this.
All right.
I'm Judson Morgan, and I have a sort of varied background and into, sort of a varied present. I have a background in acting and film directing, and met my wife doing a Broadway show back in the day in New York City. I have been sort of a creative photographer, videographer for as long as I can remember. I was one of those kids that, took the photo class as soon as I could when I was younger and loved it and loved visuals. And as I started out as an actor, I realized that I was an entrepreneur and that my product was Judson Morgan, and it was kind of a terrible product. So I decided to find another product. And so going behind the camera became a much better business where I could create a story out in front of me that didn't require me being in front of the camera. And there were less yes men and less people who were the gatekeepers, right? So Hollywood and that industry is all about the gatekeepers. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to make your own destiny. And I was eager to be able to create my own stuff. And so I started making my own films and all that, and then turned around and came to where I had some brands reach out to make films for them. And then I sort of realized that you can make really epic content for cool brands like Microsoft or, Sierra Nevada or whoever. Larger brands need very cool storytelling. And so got into this niche of telling stories for brands. And that's where I created my agency. It's called Butter. It's you can go to butter.la to check out our agency. We do photos and videos and creative content and graphics and motion graphics for e-commerce brands of all kinds. Brands of all kinds, actually. So we do, hotels and all kinds of. I was telling you we did a hotel in Toronto last year. The hotel industry is completely shut down, so we're focused 100% on e-commerce brands right now. And so that's where I'm at currently. I've got a couple of my own brands, private label brands, and so that mixture is really potent. Where I'm on the ground in the weeds, understanding what brand owners need because I am a brand owner, and I understand the struggles and how content and video and photo is challenging. It's a major issue. It's a major challenge for brands. It's like let's say you're running Facebook ads every 30 days, every 2 weeks. You need fresh content. Your ads are working, but then they start to diminish a little bit, and you need something fresh. And it's complicated and it's expensive to deal with. And so that's what my agency is trying to solve, is that problem.
One small thing that I'm wondering about is where the name Butter comes from.
Good question.
Thank you.
It's not the greatest answer. My daughter is obsessed with butter, and for whatever reason, it's her favorite food. Is that weird?
I think it's going to come down to quantity. I mean, if she's eating it
Yeah,
like
right.
sticks of cheese, then yeah, I'm not sure what just to tell you.
She would like to, but we don't let her. So she's obsessed with butter. So it was sort of on my mind. But butter makes everything taste better, right? So our content, our videos, just they make your brand taste better and work better and feel better, and that's the idea behind it. And it's also just a cool word and it's a cool concept, and people are like, "What is that?" Sort of attention grabbing, right?
Yeah, and I guess it also associates smoothness to it too. Smooth like
That's
butter.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, like butter, exactly. So
yeah.
our content. So our agency isn't like your, average. Like you just need some kind of video and photos. Like no, we're premium. It's a premium offering. It's a premium. Like you want really badass stuff, you come to butter, and it's like butter.
I was tempted to ask this just because it's a pun question, but if you have a churn rate, because butter is churn. Okay, someone's had to
I like
approx.
it. I
Yes.
like it.
Okay.
I like it. And we do have a churn rate. It's small.
Mhm. I'm debating between one or two questions that I want to ask you first, and I think I'm gonna go. I want to make sure that our entrepreneur audience and our e-seller audience get this answer because it's important for them to understand some fundamental value here. I think we all accept the value of video and photo content. I can't fathom a seller on the market right now who's not using at least images, but most of them, especially on the Facebook realm, are using videos. So my question to you is, when it comes to the video content, is what are the essential needs to make this video content worthy of their investment? And I would say it's important that we distinguish the private labels, because prior to private label in the dropshipping realm, a lot of the sellers might not even have the product, so they might just be going with whatever videos they find online, which I think is anathema to to you and to your preference. But that is just the way the market is working right now.
So yeah, I'm actually curious. So in the dropshipping world, you're just grabbing whatever content's already that it already exists.
Oftentimes, yeah, there's videos already online, and they're free to grab. Same go for the images too.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity to upgrade those and sort of beat the competition, or is it not? It's you don't have the product, so it's you can't.
Right. Well, if they don't have the product, then they would have to figure out some way to contact somebody else to manufacture the
Get
videos,
it?
or if they're in touch with the supplier, then the supplier or whomever they were in touch with that initially made the videos, they can create a specific content for it too. This is something that I talk about with my YouTube counterpart Connor, is that both him and I are part from the creative side, and so we agree that there's a lot of good reasons to just order the product ourselves to test. For one, just to make sure the product works. I'm slowly making my way into it, and I wouldn't want to sell something that A, I don't want to use myself, and B, I haven't tested myself. So once it's in our possession, then we have the ability to produce our own video content.
Yeah.
Again, that is because we lean heavily into the creative side, and I don't want to dictate what other people, but some people lean
Yeah.
creative, some people they don't lean creative. They lean more into the practical and the pragmatic sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I will answer your original question, but
I appreciate you asking me too. I like being asked questions too, believe it or not.
yeah, yeah. No, totally. As we transition more into e-commerce, away from retail, away from like actually touching and feeling the product before you get it, right? Like because there was a you can go into a store and sort of see it, and then you realize, oh, it's cheaper on Amazon or it's cheaper on this drop shipping site or whatever. Now it's like you never see, you're not going into retail during the pandemic. You're only buying things online, and so the it's becoming increasingly important to have photos that really show off your products and represent them well and tell the story of what kind of problems they solve in the customer's life, in the person's life. Telling that story is super important. It's not, you used to be able to walk into Nordstrom and Nordstrom would lead you down a path to like, okay, these are the products that they're featuring. And you have Nordstrom gives it a trust factor. If it's in this store, if it's in Target, if it's in Walmart, we trust it, right? Walmart's not going to sell us some piece of crap because it's going to get returned. Online
Mhm.
it's a wild west. It's much more of like, how do I trust this? So photos and videos are the way that we build trust. So that's part of the answer to your first question. Your question there is, I would say what needs to be in your content is you need to you need to grab attention, right? It's a busy world. We're scrolling past a million different things, right? So your photos and your videos need the first 5 seconds need to be attention grabbing, and you can do that. There's different mechanisms for attention grabbing, whether it's shock or humor or curiosity
Hmm.
or something fresh that they haven't seen before, something unique. There's these different ways, but we need to, in the first 5 seconds of our content, if it's the first image on a carousel or just an image by itself, or it's the beginning of your video, it needs to grab attention. And then we need to present the problem. We need to present like, okay, we need to speak to human beings and present like, hey, this is the problem that this product solves. And then you solve the problem with your product and a call to action, sort of the framework. For not every single video is like that, but a lot of them can be. A lot of your content can be framed like that. So that's, I think, one answer to your question there.
Mhm. And also, it's important too. One other distinction I wanted to draw between the dropshipping side and private label is that once it hits private label, the seller has more of a vested interest in it. They're more looking to start scaling the product, and they're attaching their own brand to it.
Yeah.
Where prior to that, a lot of it is in testing too. So they're just trying to see what products they can get into that winning state before they're confident in it, and then they move on. It is interesting. One of the things that I picked up from my mentor Ricky, as he's helping us unpack and understand how it works, is that a lot of what the advertising and a lot of the initial selling is actually just research. It's just trying to understand what people respond to. So even in the ads themselves, they split test. We'll try this ad, and then we'll try this ad with a different color palette, and we'll see which ones work. So for part of the creative process, that's probably something that I wouldn't have expected as part of the industry, is that first step is largely creativity and is trying to figure out what is the best combination, while also being a satisfying advertisement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we often bake into our process, an A/B of like, so let's say you order a video from our agency and or photos or whatever, we will bake into that budget an A/B on your main image. So like on your, let's say you sell on Amazon or on your own e-commerce site or whatever, that main image is the number one thing you need to work on to make sure it's driving sessions, that people click into your product, right? So split testing that, using something like PickFu. Have you heard of that?
PickFu? Nope, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's a service where you can split test your main image and get sort of feedback from, potential customers or, real people.
Mm-hmm.
So split testing main image and split testing the opening of your video or the content that you're going to create for a Facebook ad. So a lot of your audience, I'm assuming, is running Facebook ads or Pinterest ads or different ads where you need content that drives attention and then conversion, right? Or clicks. And so split testing that is massively important. Split testing the creative based and split testing it in reference to each audience. So one audience might really click on a video that a different audience won't. So you have to mix all of those things and test all of them one at a time.
Mm-hmm. So the next question that I want to ask you is about your. I do have some questions about your business because I find it quite interesting. One of the things you talk about on the website itself, or rather in one of your videos, is the process of creativity. Especially, and you say it pretty much any business, creativity manifests in different ways. Granted, but it does manifest. It's such a fundamental part of the human condition, and you break down different steps to it. But the step that I wanted to hone in on is setting your intention. And as well, the other part of it too is the importance of play. Like I know that you guys have an air of a spirited air of play within the office. And so it's important for people to understand why this is important. I want to hear more about that from you.
Yeah, for sure. There's, I think, we get stuck a little bit in thinking that work is work or that work is serious or that work is at a desk. And a lot of times we grind and we spend a lot of time pedaling with our tire off the ground, or we waste a lot of time doing things that aren't necessarily productive when we could ignite the creativity in us by playing, by messing around with people in our studio or office, by going out for a walk and being in nature is another great way to reset yourself and connect to your creativity. And you can solve a business problem. You can solve a something that feels like quote unquote work. you can solve in your subconscious. It's going to solve it while you're playing or while you're out in nature. I just read a book called The 3 Simple Steps, and it's a great business book. The second step is get out in nature. Second step is connect with nature. And it's very similar. It's very, when we are, I don't know where you stand with sort of like believing in us as a spiritual being. So we are
I have a lot of beliefs on that. I'd love to jump into it for a few minutes.
Yeah. So I believe we're obviously physical bodies, but we're really spirit. We have spirit in us. We have energy. And when we kind of spend a lot of life trying to be in the here and now, be sort of less spiritual, right? Our culture these days is like very much like in the physical, and there's this whole spiritual realm going on that we sort of ignore. And I just believe business problems can be solved in that realm. And it's sort of antithetical to how we think about business, but it shouldn't be, is what I'm saying. And creativity, obviously, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, where do these ideas come from? Right? It's like, oh, I got this cool idea to do this. It's like, where did that come from? I mean, it's a reference from here. It's a reference from when I was a kid. It's a reference from some movie I saw, some other ad I saw, right? But our subconscious is putting it together. And then you have this moment. You're like, oh, like I have these moments when I'm on a walk or when I'm in the shower or when, excuse my graphic language, but when I'm like, go to the bathroom, because I'm there privately, not at the desk, quote unquote, working. And I have the moment, I have the idea. And then those ideas save me tons and tons and tons of quote unquote working time. So I feel like as business people, the more spiritual we can make it, the better.
This is one of the rare times where a case is made for why this could be on video, because I've had this huge smile on my face for the last 3 or 4 minutes when you start talking about that. So here's what I want to share on the subject. I'm a spiritual person too. I was born and raised in the Catholic Church, but I don't really call myself Catholic anymore because I'm not good at it. But my approach to spirituality is to figure out a way that enmeshes the pragmatic side and the knowledgeable side, the material side, with our spirituality. I think what happens in the disconnect between these two sides is that one side is trying to explain the importance of the will, of the desire of the spirit, but then somebody else comes along and explains the mechanism, as if the mechanism now diminishes the spirituality. Like, oh, well, if we figure out how it works, then the magic is gone. Well, no, the magic was always there. We just need to know how it works. So let me explain in a practical example. So one of my big things, and anybody who listens in chronological order will remember the Daniel Budai episode where I went into this, but I'm a big believer in dreaming. I was obsessed with lucid dreaming. I still pull it off once in a while, but it's not like a main pursuit of mine. And the beauty of the dream state is that it is and isn't us at the same time. It's the self. The self, it exists on a higher dimension. It's above us in the 3-dimensional space. It's probably in the 5th-dimensional space because we exist in the 3 dimensions, but we use the 4th dimension of time to navigate it. So we're already making our way to understanding our bigger selves. One of the things I think about a lot is what happens after we die? We're going to pass on to the next life. And I think the self is trying to help us prepare for that, which is why it's important for people to have fulfilling work and to really feel like they're doing something meaningful that makes a positive difference in the world. Because you hear the adage of people in this soul-crushing job where they don't feel like they're making a difference. They left and somebody else takes over. They don't feel like they're doing anything tangible. The self is the one concocting these dreams. I didn't think of them. If I got to decide my dreams for me, I would have a very different, very much less productive set of dreams before me. Not going to delve into any of that, but use your imagination. So it's important for people, I think, to make that connection between the practical side, which you're talking about too, as well as the spiritual side, and not to dismiss the spiritual because it's spiritual. There are mechanisms we can use to get there.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's too bad that there's a movement toward the spiritual, I think, in the world, and but there's a stigma against it. It feels woo woo, but it's really there's this sort of blending where some magic can happen where you're, whether I believe in dreams too, and I believe we talk about it in our agency where we're creatives, right? Where we got to come up with cool ideas out of thin air
Mm-hmm.
for our brands, for our clients. And so I'll say, guys, like, if you're iterating on ideas, you're trying to come up with something new, take a shower. That's one place where you have good ideas. And why is that? Because we're not able to do anything else, or you're just standing there, right? The other time that we come up with our best ideas is right upon waking. Right upon waking, as we're half in a dream state and half waking up, we what I do is I set my intention to have an idea as I'm going to sleep. And I say, hey, this is the project that I'm going to think about. If you watch this, if you try this, and some of you maybe do, where before you go to bed, set your intention to dream about something specific. And maybe this is part of your lucid dreaming thing too, but you
Well, myself is pretty spiteful. It seems like whenever I set my intention for something, it doesn't
mm,
happen. But when I had a consistent intention set for about 6 months, and then over time, it started to manifest in my dream state quite
yeah,
often. So for me, I don't think these things happen like it takes one night to do.
yeah.
Maybe I need to learn a little bit more about setting your intention. So I want to hear the end of it, but I also want you to then follow up and just explain like exactly what setting intention is, because I feel like I'm trying that and I'm not quite getting it.
Yeah. So in terms of the dreaming, I would quote unquote set my intention, and then, you know, not every time, but sometimes I would end up dreaming about that subject, and maybe I don't remember the dream. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. And then I wake up in the morning and I have an idea, and I'm like, where did that? I have an idea. I'm like, oh, this could be that. And if I kind of like hang out in that half moment between waking and sleeping, I can then use my sort of material brain to be like massage that idea, and then it iterates, and it can kind of discuss with the subconscious for a moment and be like, that's pretty good, but can you give me a little bit more? How about another? What if we did this? And then the subconscious can play with it, and then maybe really solidify a cool idea for a client, or for a project, or for my life, or for my children, or whatever, right? Any of that stuff.
Mhm.
So that moment is sort of a magic moment, and it doesn't have to be photo and video creative, or you're a filmmaker, or you're a pianist, right? It can be business. I find business incredibly creative. I mean, all it is creative problem solving. You're just problem solving. That's it. That's business.
Mhm.
So you're finding a problem, you're solving it. You solve huge problems, you make lots of money. You solve little problems, you make a little bit of money. Like Elon Musk is trying to solve the electric car problem, right? It's better
Mhm.
for the economy, it's better for the environment, and it was a problem that companies had a hard time solving, and he's solving a major problem. Jeff Bezos is solving a major problem about e-commerce and getting products to people quickly, and it took him 10 years to solve this problem, and now he's making gobs of money. So all that is problem solving, and you can creatively problem solve using these sort of techniques. But in terms of setting your intention, I don't know that I have a great answer, except for sort of in the same vein of what we're talking about, where you um, allow yourself to be, part spirit, and you
Mhm.
connect with, sort of the universe, if you want to put it that way, or spirit, or however you want to speak of it. But you commit, in your being and in your mind to do something and execute something. So I can tell if somebody, like, for example, somebody on our team, on the butter team, if I'm like, hey, let's get this finished by Wednesday, and they're like, okay, you know, I can tell if it's if they've if they've set their intention to do it and it's going to happen. So I recently just said to a guy on our team about a particular project. I was like, I can tell for a fact you're not going to do it. You're not going to finish it. you I could just tell he hadn't set his intention. He hadn't committed. And it's sort of like part of one of the things I talk about is burning the boats, right? So it's like part of the setting of the intention is you jump off the boat and then you light them on fire behind you and swim to shore. You don't give yourself an out, right? It's like you don't, if you're trying to lose weight and you go to this, you have that one moment when you're at the grocery store where you have to have the intention to, and you have to commit to not buying the sweets or whatever it is that your trick, your carbs or whatever you're going to get, then when you're at home, you don't have them and the temptation's gone. You have that one moment of temptation you have to conquer, and then you don't, right? So it's like setting your intention sometimes is burning those boats.
I'm just taking a second to wrap
Yeah.
my brain around that. So I think my main one of my main takeaways from that, the way I'm processing it in my mind, is acting with certainty. So when you say setting your intention, it's committing to a change that's forthcoming. It hasn't happened yet, but it's a willingness to be a part of the flow of time, which is the one thing we know that is constant, is that change is always going to be happening. And so there will always be these moments of change. And it's a matter of communicating with the self that this is the change that I intend to happen. And I'm confident enough in myself and what I can do that this is the change that I want to see happen in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there's a quote, and I don't know exactly the who said it or exactly the words, but it's something around the idea that the only people who don't accomplish a goal are the ones who quit. So if you're right, so if you don't quit, if you're committed to not quitting, then you've set your intention, and you will accomplish that goal because you're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until you do.
I think there's different variations on it. I think there was an Edison quote where he was trying to invent the light bulb, and he later succeeded. And he said, "It's not that I failed, but I've just found 10,000 ways that are not a success."
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that too. That's totally, yeah, totally.
So, guys, think about it. This is important, and this is something that I've maintained throughout the show. Is that I think for people to have a dismissive attitude towards this business or to really any business, even if they're successful, it will still continue to eat away at them. And so I thank you for also maintaining that here. I have a couple of different questions here. Just stuff that I was curious about. So we're gonna shift back into the corporeal world, much to my dismay. I went through your client list because I wanted to make sure we touched on something tangible, and that was me writing. It's funny how that ended up being. Anyways, so what I found was, and you mentioned that you had done a couple of hotels, including the one in Toronto, which I didn't spot. There's the Landing Hotel, Lowe's Hotels, Oceana, Santa Monica, Perry Lane, and Shangri-La. Now, hotels have a lot in common. So what I was wondering is, what did you guys do to make each campaign distinct, and how each hotel was able to stand out from the others, even among your own agency?
Yeah, we look at each brand, each client that comes to us, and we one of our foundational principles at Butter is start with story. And so we start with, what is the story that this brand or this hotel, what is their vibe? What is their story? What is the story they want to tell? And, it's sort of like an exercise around, how e-commerce brands will do an analysis of their customer, who's their customer avatar, and really dig into that, and sort of then base their, like, our avatar likes blue, and our, those kinds of like A/B testing, that kind of study. We do that with each of our hotels and say, okay, who is this? Like that, for example, Bisha is the hotel in Toronto that I mentioned, and it's very edgy and kind of sexy and kind of like naughty. And so we were able to say, how does that translate into their content? What do their photos and their videos need to look like? And so we made this kind of rock star video, this like very edgy, kind of cool video, much edgier than a Lowe's hotel, which is much more corporate, beautiful, corporate hotels. But they need to have the sort of standard, little bit of a corporate vibe, which Bisha doesn't need to have at all. So it would be, sort of any brand, so let's say you have a private label brand that you want help with sort of figuring out, what is your visual language? How are we going to speak to the customers? Because if you think about it, you want your brand to be recognizable and say, immediately understand, oh, this brand is eco-friendly, or this brand is edgy, or it's for moms. You want to know right away from the visuals and the photos. So we always think about that. We always think about how a brand is positioned, how a story is being told. And so that's no different for a hotel, or for any video that we make, is is like that.
And one of the things too that I wonder, and I think you'll know where I'm going for this because you've come from the creative side, so you've obviously you've met a lot of other creatives and artists, and that disconnect between the art world and the corporate world, how the art world doesn't necessarily respect the corporate world because it's corporatized.
Yep.
You're in the middle of bridging a gap between those 2 points, and then integrating art into a corporate message and vice versa, and then disseminating that to the audience. So I just want to make sure that I ask this. I think you pretty much know the question I'm going to ask, but I'm not quite sure how exactly I want to characterize it. But how do you make sure the message is conveyed in a way that's genuine and respects the vulnerability of the customer and respects the integrity of the art? And really, you're balancing a few things here. So how do you find that balance?
Yeah. Are you speaking about like you're interested in the balance of art and commerce in terms of how it translates for brands, or like how we navigate like being artists and working for corporations? Which is more your interest there?
With you giving me both those options, I think option B is the one that I want to hear more
Right.
about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So, it's interesting because I came to realize, and sort of similar to what I was saying earlier, that business is incredibly creative.
Mhm.
And so there is, in a lot of the best creative ideas, like Super Bowl commercials, for example, are like these incredible mini commercials. I mean, not all of them, but like some of them are incredibly funny, incredibly creative, incredibly unique, and like groundbreaking. Or um, it's they're not mutually exclusive. And when I kind of have found that artists who are like poo-pooing commerce or poo-pooing big, money making entities, it's a little bit of I find it to be, you know, uh, unnecessary,
Mhm.
because these corporations are actually insanely creative, or else they wouldn't be making so much money and solving incredible problems for the world and benefiting the world in these huge ways.
Mhm.
Whether it's like being super creative around how to bring low priced goods to the masses, like, Walmart, or figuring out a way to solve, any number of problems that corporations solve. So this vaccine for
Mhm.
they had to get insanely creative on how to bring this COVID-19 vaccine so quickly, because usually takes 4 years. So that was a creative process. So I just came to really respect the creativity of business itself. And so I don't find a dichotomy where it's like you can't be an artist and make content for big money making ventures. Um, and in fact, you know, uh, I find it more fulfilling to do it in this genre, in this venue, because there's actual exchange of value where I can make a living and I can build a sustainable company. Whereas with Hollywood filmmaking, for example, I knew a couple guys who literally were grinding for 10 years,
Mhm.
making zero money, writing their scripts, peddling it around town, doing all kinds of craziness to try to get this film made. And then it got made, and then nothing ever happened with it. And then they do it again for another decade. And it just isn't a great life. And, there's a beautiful exchange when you create something that has value and someone pays you for it. And I think that's beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, I can think of at least one friend. He stuck out in my mind when you were describing what the people you knew were going through, and I've known him for 8 years, and it's the same thing. He has this unbreakable positive attitude, and he needs it because he here in Toronto, they're not counting the pandemic circumstances, there is work. Toronto was a popular town for film because Toronto is rather blank slate-ish. People can certainly transform it into different ways. We've been New York a few times. We've been Chicago. We've been a couple of different places. San Francisco, you
Yep.
name it. And yeah, and it's the same thing. I see him and he's always trying and he's trying to get through. And I think a lot of what's going on is that once these systems are established and people are making their way through, Those who are just trying to get into those already functioning systems, the Hollywood movie system, they're finding it the hardest because there's this huge lineup. There's an established successful program and everyone wants in on it. Whereas I think people just innovate. They break out of it and they find their own way. And then, frankly, they don't really think about Hollywood anymore or whatever their equivalent is in this case.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And I think that's the thing that we talk about in terms of creativity in our company is like, how do you innovate? You innovate by looking inward, not copying other people or whatever, looking inward. And I think a lot of the filmmakers who really break out aren't trying to make a cookie cutter Hollywood movie. They're just making what they want to make, and it resonates with people. And I think when we're talking about e-commerce brands, we're talking about selling via this e-commerce platform. I think it's very true. It's important to do the same. So if you're doing private label, especially, is how do you communicate your product to the customer in a way that's unique to you? Make it unique to you. Like when I develop products for my private label brands, I think about things that I need and want to make a little bit better and improve on products. And I think about myself. And instead of using all the tools to go around and try to like copycat the spatula or whatever, because it's got certain metrics, I try to, and maybe that's true in dropshipping too, where it's like finding products that are unique to you that you're interested in, and because instead of following the herd.
One thing that's going through my mind right now is one of the stores that I want to set up is a home office optimization store because I see a lot of ads for stuff that can be mounted onto the walls or drawers that you can mount onto the bottom of your desk. And I think individually each of these products has merit, but in my mind, it's this amalgamation or this aggregation of true home optimization, having all of these things on the wall, being able to store all this stuff. So that's how the creative process has been unfolding for me. But I'm glad you brought up that you've done a lot of e-commerce work, because if I forgot to ask you or if we didn't make time for it, then people wouldn't know, but they should know. So do you want to expound on your experience in e-commerce and how you got into it and what role is playing for you right now, given that you're also running this agency?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think if one thing I've noticed is if you have multiple businesses, it's nice to have them overlap. It's nice to have areas where there are efficiencies between them. And so Butter does lots of the content for my e-commerce brands. So back in 2016, I sort of heard about Amazon FBA and private label. And I was like, it's nice because I have a service company. We have clients and we go fly to Toronto to shoot videos or fly to Germany or Africa or wherever we need to go. And that entails me being at that location, shooting the video and then engaging with the client. And then more so now it's my team, and we have a team of people, but it requires people to scale it. Right. The agency business model requires people to scale. And so, I found incredible people. We're in Los Angeles. It's the like filmmaking hub of the world. We found incredible people and that's worked, but it's not as easily scalable as e-commerce. And so in 2016, I sort of saw this opportunity and it's funny. I started with a cell phone case, a faux leather cell phone case. And I literally bought 1,000 units or 500 units or something. And, they were $1 each or something. So I was like, well, I have no idea if this is going to work, but I put them online and they sold. And, I knew something about making good images. I knew something about, I didn't just buy the exact same cell phone case as somebody else. I knew just instinctually that it needed to be its own product.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to look unique. And so faux leather was something that I didn't see that much at the time. And so I sold out of those and I was like, wow, okay, this is interesting. So then I just started doing that more and scaling, found some more products. And then after, a few months, I was like, wow, okay, I'm going to build an entire brand. I'm going to build a brand around this. And so I built a brand called Benevolence LA. And the entire company is based around the idea of gifts that give back. So every single product is giftable and it's connected to a charitable cause because I wanted to create a real brand with real, with a story. So it's got a brand story, and we have lots of video content. We have incredible photos, and we want to do something good in the world. So we've given at least $100,000 to charities since 2016. We have I need to get that real number, but it's at least 100,000. And we're gonna sell. We're gonna hit about 6.5 million this year in revenue.
Wow.
So it's doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience on the e-commerce side, and I have a team of 12 or 13 people on that side of things, and then Butter, the agency, a team of 6 or 7. So I've got a lot going on. But they work together. The brand, benevolence helps Butter, and Butter helps benevolence. It's sort of this. We're learning from each other. We'll do a split test on how images are working or videos working, right? How Facebook ads are working, and then Butter will run Facebook ads for my brands as we're doing, promotion for Black Friday or whatever, and we all sort of learn and can benefit together and grow.
That's fantastic. That it does remind me too that what Steve Pope was talking about, because he has his Momsters, his cups, and he uses that also as a way to test because changes in Amazon, because things happen pretty much every 5 minutes there. So it's a way for him to experience firsthand it. With regards to your images and your videos, it's certainly a strong suit. Maybe there's something else that you do that's more effective, but just given your experience and your skill set, it sounds like it's the thing that has really put you over. Is there anything else you want to share with us in how you were able to get your e-commerce brands to, do as well as they're doing? Like how much of an element does the imagery and the video translate into success?
Yeah, so I'll take both those questions there. The photos and the videos completely make a difference. We have some of our products convert at 40%. They have a 40% conversion rate, which is insane. 40% of the people who come there come to that landing page purchase, which is insane. You can have industry numbers of like 10 to 20% would be pretty good, but we have some that are 40%. And that's because incredible content, right? There's incredible videos, incredible photos. We really tell the product stories well. We tell the brand story, the product story. So that is true. It's a huge part of it. But I would also say, I look at, I'm really obsessing over the Amazon platform and what you need to accomplish, what you need to do there. I would suggest to all of your listeners to really deep dive into if you're choosing to drop ship, deep dive into all the tools, deep dive into all the opportunities, learn, because that little edge that you get from that little hack or that little nuance of doing this thing differently or whatever, my team and I understand Amazon incredibly well, super, super well. And that's why we've been able to succeed, is really just year after year doing the latest thing, testing. Right now we're testing sponsored video ads over the last 6 months, and they're just performing incredibly well. We have a video company, so we can test, like 2 different kinds of videos against the same exact keywords and bids and see which kind of video works best, which we did. And we understand that we can do that for our clients now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also sort of add to that, what I was saying earlier is listen to yourself and your own heart and what kind of products you want to bring to the world and what kind of products resonate with you. Like I have a brand that gives back. I have a brand that, every product that we sell gives back to a charity, and there are charities that are close to my heart. One of them is Water Mission, which is a clean water charity. One of them is Zoe International, which is like international, like human trafficking and sex trafficking. And so it gives me purpose. What you mentioned a half hour ago about having purpose in our work. And I think as human beings, we are made to do things with purpose, whether it's, getting married and loving a spouse or raising a family. These things have deep purpose, and our work can have deep purpose and should. And if you're in a situation in your life where you're in a job that you don't love, I would begin building your out as quickly as you can so that you can do things where you feel purpose. And I feel immense purpose with these brands, not only to provide for my family, to build something special. I feel incredible purpose to build incredible companies for my employees right? So my employees have an epic life because they work in an epic company. That goes across the board for all my companies. And then I give an epic life to my family. And there's no limit to how much money we can make and how epic our lives can be. It's really, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? So we can make that. Well, there's billionaires, and then there's people who don't make any money, and they have the same 24 hours. And it's really how you think, what choices you're making, what you're thinking is leading you to do.
Just give me a second to absorb that. I'm wrestling because there's other stuff I want to ask you about, but I also just it was put so succinctly. I don't have anything to add. I think it's tantamount, and it's not something to put off to tomorrow. Like, I think after people listen to this, I hope they really start thinking about this. But let me use that as a way to transition into maybe some things that people can do right away. So most people have smartphones at this point. For people who are going to give it a go, I'm going to try doing their own video ads. And by the way, I was on the verge of being like, they'll do it and then they'll realize how hard it is and they'll contact you. But somebody else already said that too. And I scanned to want to repeat myself from other podcasts. But putting that aside, so what do you recommend people do to put together good video ads, and what kind of tools, or even if you can narrow it down to like a specific lighting that they can buy on Amazon, how can people get started?
So making professional, high quality video is very difficult. So let's just be honest about that. Yeah. And when we shoot a video, we just shot a video last week for a brand, and it had 4 actors, and we had a crew of like 5 or 6 people, and all like probably $50,000 to $70,000 worth of gear. Right. And that's, we're a video production company. That's our thing. But that's not like, I shot a feature film for $1 million and it took 18 days, and we had 50 to 100 actors, and I mean, it's very complex to make these things. It's very complex. It's very hard, and let's be honest about that. But that being said, we have an amazing opportunity in 2020 and going forward. You have HD cameras in your pocket, most of you. If you have an iPhone or Android, the cameras are incredibly good. So it's just a matter of, making sure you are in a situation where the lighting is good, and so it doesn't look blown out or weird. So you're in what I call open shade. So you don't want any sun in your shot, no direct sun. You want open shade. So if you're going to shoot your product, let's say you're going to have your product that's sitting on a table, you're going to shoot your product, put it by a window, but not with no direct sun on it. So open shade is your friend. So use open shade for your lighting. And then audio is much more important than you think. So getting started for this podcast today, we were like, maybe I can use my other mic because we were having a little technical difficulty, but we both stuck to it because we know the sound of these 2 microphones is so pleasing. Audio quality is very important. And so you want to make sure there's no wind, no rustling, no weird noises. So if you're going to buy one piece of gear, if you want to do videos with audio, like you're going to talk, let's say you're the brand owner and you want to talk to camera, I would get a little microphone that you can plug in. You can get them on Amazon that you can plug into your phone. So you just make sure it's the kind of mic that plugs into the jack that you have on your phone. If you have an iPhone or whatever, it needs to have that whatever it's called, that port. So, and I think brand owners for sure should talk to camera, turn the camera, do a selfie video. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows it can look like a selfie video. It doesn't have to look like a professional video because it is what it is. And we have no problem with that. And it actually resonates. So if you're going to use a Facebook ad, you see a lot of Facebook ads look like organic content. They look like Facebook posts because they're on Facebook. They're meant to look like Facebook posts. And in fact, sometimes professional commercials get skipped over because they look like a commercial. So don't be afraid of doing that. If you want to run some ads for your offering, you can shoot it on a phone, but just make sure it's not trying to look like a professional video, that it just looks like a phone video, and that's okay.
Right.
So let's say you want to do an unboxing of your product or something like that. Do this in open shade. You can hold the camera or hold the phone, or you can get one of those little tripods that holds your phone up, so the shot is steady. And then you can put your own hands out in front and open the product. And everyone knows what that is. We've all seen those videos on YouTube. The YouTube channel that's just opening the Disney, you know what I'm talking about? They're just opening Disney products for kids. Have you seen this?
It doesn't come up on my algorithm, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Your algorithm, yeah, it comes up on my daughter's algorithm.
Okay, yeah, that checks out.
But it's insane. I mean, the amount of views, all she's doing is opening these products, and it's like it looks terrible. But you get kids get to watch the opening of these products. It can be super. It can work super well. But that's just a side note. But I don't know if I completely directly answered the question, but I gave some tidbits in there that I think can be helpful.
Well, I'll say, being someone who would want to take this advice for myself, the biggest takeaway is to understand that an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever it is, not to worry about making a professional video with them, but to understand what the restrictions are and then use them for what they are, and to use them as cell phone videos, use them as unboxing videos, but to also still maximize the quality as much as you can. So that's personally, that's my main takeaway from it.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think people will that can be freeing for people to realize. Okay, so people understand what this is. This is a video that I'm shooting with my phone. Make it look like that. But you want it to look as good as you can, but it can completely be watchable and it can completely convert.
So with that said, Judson, we don't have much time left with you. I know we gotta let you go in about 5, maybe 10 minutes. So I'm gonna give you 2 questions. One of them will be our usual, letting you go, how to reach out, that kind of thing. But before that, I got one other one, and I very rarely get to talk about this because not everybody is experienced in the film industry, certainly to your extent. So I just wanted to, this one's for me, people. So I have 3 years of background acting under my belt. It's how I met my girlfriend of now 29 months. And the story, I have told the story a couple of times, at least like once on this show, is that I was in background for The Handmaid's Tale for once per season so far. And I was in a scene, it was a very simple scene where one of the characters is just walking up the subway, heads outside, and meets somebody. You on the show probably was like a 30-second scene at most. 30 seconds. This scene, from the time we arrived to wrap up, was 8 hours worth of work. And that's just one example of how much how hard the film industry is. And it didn't really sink in how transformative it was in my view of things until I went to the theater and watched 1917. And for those of you who don't know that movie, please, for the love of all, it is a fantastic film. It's all one take, although there are subtle cuts in between. But by the third act, I couldn't even sit down. I was so amazed, not just at the story, but of how hard it must have been to make that film. And so while sometimes I think what happens is people, they learn the ins and outs of the industry and it almost dispels the magic. For me, it actually enhanced the magic because I gained this whole new appreciation for how hard filmmaking is. So that's the story side of it. But the question that I posed to you is, what was an experience that sticks out to you from your time in film that was transformative in some way? It doesn't have to be like parallel to mine, but was there anything that really like sunk in and sticks with you even to this day?
It is an incredibly hard business,
Mhm.
and also you can work for years on a project that ends up not working out and being terrible. And so that's the downside of it, is like, oh man, this movie did not turn out well. It didn't work. And I just spent 2 years of my life doing it. I had a couple experiences where early on in my career where there was one younger girl who asked if she could get my advice or whatever. I had been in the business longer than her, and she comes to me and she's asked about getting a manager, an agent, or doing this or that. And I was like, you know what? I just think this business is you're going to have a really hard time. It's challenging. Uh, I don't know if it's worth it for you. And then, 5 seconds later, she's like the star of a TV show, and that's how it kind of it's there's a William Goldman quote that I always quote. That's basically nobody knows anything in Hollywood, and that's he's famous. He's a famous screenwriter who I think Oscar-winning screenwriter who is famous for saying that is nobody knows what's going to be good. Nobody knows. You can have one big hit and then your next thing is terrible, or one season of the TV show is really good and the next one's not. It's That's what I didn't love about it, is that it's elusive, and
Mhm.
you hard work and sticking to it don't always work in Hollywood. Whereas I think that can work in other businesses. And so that's why I've kind of steered away from it. My wife is still in the business, and she is a star of a TV show now. But she's got her real level head about it. Got a real level head. But I
Mhm.
would say 99% of you should stay away. Not because you're not good, because there's a better life for you elsewhere.
I guess one thing too about that industry is, no 2 days are the same. Even if there's reshoots, no 2 days are the same. Like it's one thing that I loved about being in background is that I was never in the same office. I was always in different places. Sometimes we'd be out in the cold all day and it was miserable. But then there's one time I'm in the back of a limousine and they're actually handing out snacks, and my job was to pretend to be rich for a day. So it fluctuates. And I think that's one of the hard things about the industry is that you're saying hard work and persistence, they're not going to help if the timing is off. If there was a project that a person would have been a perfect fit for and it comes and goes and that project is never going to happen again because, okay, well, I guess we do a lot of remakes, but even the remakes are so fundamentally different that, the people in the first one don't do the second one. So I guess that to me, that would be why I would say it's persistence is not a guarantee, because it's it's constantly on a new path, and it's constantly doing new projects.
Yeah, it can be an amazing life. Like my wife shot a TV show in Prague, and so we got to go. My family, my daughter, and Kelly and I went to Prague for 4 months because she was shooting a show there. It's an incredible thing. And then but at the same time, when the show ends, it's we've had a bunch of our friends never work again. Basically, they just can't
Mhm.
get arrested. So it's a very high highs and low lows, and um, it's hard work doesn't always pay off, and that's the frustration. And then there's a lot of gatekeepers, and so I would say go into a business where you can be your own gatekeeper. You can create your own destiny. If you wanna make films or you want to be an actor, put stuff on YouTube. Create your own destiny. We're living in a time where you don't have to go to Los Angeles and try to climb up the ladder. But it is fun to be on the set like you were for a few days here and there, and get to see behind the scenes of how these things work, because it is amazing how much detail, how much time it takes to do certain things, and it is
Mhm.
interesting.
I'll say this one last thing, and then I'll get us to our wrap up. But I was also in background for Shazam, and I was in the final act where they're fighting in the carnival, and I was there for a total of 4 days, not back to back, but there were two back to back days, and both of those days were as long as we were legally allowed to stay there. So 8 hours downtime, which I barely got any sleep, mind you. And so by day two, I was suffering, but it was fun suffering. It was taxing, but I was still enjoying myself. So, I do have a lot of good memories of it, but I never had any goals to become a leading man or anything like that. So,
Did you So this will be a fun way to end this, but I don't know, end this section is did you work with Zach Levi on that?
no, well, I mean, in the sense that we were in proximity to each other, yes, but I was running for my life. He was going towards the danger. So I saw him for like a couple of seconds here or there. I had no substantial interaction with him.
So he's a friend of mine,
Oh, terrific.
and I don't just say that. Like, I know a lot of famous people that I would here and there say I know this person, but Zach I really know, and we've been friends for a long time. And I made a music video with him, which everyone that listens to this should go check out. It has 32 million views on YouTube. It's the definition of like going viral. So if you look up a music video called "Terrified," um, yeah, with Zachary Levi and Catherine McPhee. You know her?
No, I don't know.
She was an American Idol. You'll recognize her probably. But yeah. So we put these two together. They're both famous, and then we put a couple other actors in there that are one of them's in Sneaky Pete. That show on Amazon. And anyway, so you'll see that the combination of like kind of little storytelling. And by the way, I had made a feature film the year before, and it was $1 million feature film that I mentioned. And then this music video was made for $3,000 in the course of like 1 or 2 days of shooting. I was basically the whole crew, and then it got 32 million views. It's a good example of how it doesn't really matter. Like, you could spend $1 million or $100 million and still have a failure, and spend almost no money and have this massive success. And but also, I made no money off of the music video. Somebody else did. So off of 32 million views on YouTube, somebody made a lot of money, but it wasn't me.
Well, that part I'm sorry to hear, but I'm not just saying this, but Zachary Levi was fantastic in that film. I was cracking up throughout, so he did a really good job. If you want to impart that message to him, feel free. But Judson, we're gonna get you out of here. So one more question for you. It's just a last chance. If you have any other parting wisdom, I mean, usually by this point, there's been plenty of wisdom to absorb, but I like to just give you a chance in case there's like a question that didn't quite ask and there's an answer you didn't quite get to give. So anything else to say, and then let people know how to reach out to you to further their dialogue with you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can email me, Judson, Judson at butter.la, or just go to butter.la, butter.la. That's our agency website. And you can see kind of videos that we can help for you, or content or photos or videos, that kind of stuff. And in terms of like parting wisdom, I would say, it's very obvious, something you've heard before, I think, if you're in the sort of entrepreneurial circles, but it's just epically true. And you need to take action. You need to stop overthinking it, and you need to go and free yourself to make mistakes, and your mistakes are going to be your friend and are going to help you learn. So without trying things, without buying those first 500 units of my cell phone case, I wouldn't have a $6.5 million business. Without taking action, without trying things and being willing to make mistakes, you're not going to get where you want to go. So I know there's a bunch of you out there who are thinking about this business idea, or considering doing this website, or considering dropshipping this, or starting a private label brand, but you haven't done it yet. And I'm telling you, now is the time to do it, and you'll find your way as you go. Don't worry about having it all figured out before you start.
Fantastic. All right, Judson Morgan, thank you once more for your time. This has been a fantastic episode. I can't wait to go back and review it. I review all my episodes and give myself a second chance to reabsorb. And to our listeners, you guys know what to do. You can always contact podcast@debutify.com if you want to weigh in, or if you think you'll be a guest as well. Whatever the case, it'll be good to hear from you. So thank you to all involved, and we will check in soon. Thanks for listening. You might have found this show on any number of platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or right here on Debutify. Whatever the case, if you enjoyed this content and want to help us thrive, please take a few moments to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you think is best. We also want to hear from you, so whether you think you'd be a good guest or want to weigh in on anything related to our show, you can email podcast@debutify.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Finally, this podcast is created by the passionate team at Debutify. If you're ready to take the plunge into e-commerce or are looking to up your game, head over to Debutify.com and see how it can change your life and the lives of many through what you do next.